As an entrepreneur, you're always going to deal with adversity. When you have adversity in front of you, look at it as an advantage from now on. I want everybody listening to this to reframe it. Every challenge, obstacle, problem that you get is an advantage. What I mean by that is, think about it. We go to the gym, we work out with weights, and the more we work out, the bigger, stronger our muscles get, and we keep lifting more weights. We develop our body by putting our muscles through adversity, by putting our cardiovascular system through adversity. Well, your mental, emotional, and entrepreneurial muscles develop through adversity as well. So welcome the suck factor when things go wrong. Know that it's not the time to react, but it's the time to respond. And when you overcome it, you have now become a better, stronger, more capable entrepreneur.
You're listening to the Fitness Business Podcast. We'd like to thank this month's premier sponsor, Team Rockstar Fit, the mastermind team that helps fitness professionals and studios add nutrition, fitness, and online coaching to their existing business with tools from Beachbody. Visit teamrockstarfit.com. Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast. Our guest this week is best-selling author, speaker, and business consultant Bedros Keuilian, and he joins us to talk about lead generation opportunities outside of funnel pages. We chat about how to connect with prospects using Facebook Messenger. He tells us the number one trait that successful business owners all share, and we chat about how to create a team of all-stars. Now, before we get stuck into this week's show, I wanted to let you know that we have entered the world of Facebook Live broadcasts, and I'll now be seeing you every second Monday at 8:30 a.m. Sydney time. In each show, we're going to chat about a business-based topic, and I'll be updating you on the guests that are coming up in the weeks ahead. We will always publish a recording of the show after it's gone live, so if you miss out on the live version, you can watch it anytime you like on Facebook, or you can head over to our YouTube channel. Just search for the Fitness Business Podcast. So make sure that you jump onto Facebook and hit like on the Fitness Business Podcast page so that you can see the reminders as they come up. I would love to chat to you live. It is a great opportunity to ask questions or to request a future guest or topic. The next Fitness Business Podcast Live is on Monday, August 21st, and I hope to see lots and lots of you there. I want to say a big thank you to this week's podcast partner, Team Rockstar Fit. Do you own a club or a studio? Are you missing out on nutrition solutions and online coaching tools for your clients? Well, here is your answer. All you need to do is visit teamrockstarfit.com and you can schedule your free consultation. Bedros Keuilian is a best-selling author, speaker, and business consultant. He's the founder and CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp, one of the nation's fastest-growing franchises, and an investor in over a dozen companies ranging from software, digital ad agencies, and coaching and consulting services. His sales, marketing, and business systems are the secret weapon used by thousands of successful digital marketers and entrepreneurs who want to reach more high-paying clients and customers. An immigrant from a communist country turned hugely successful entrepreneur, Bedros uses stage, TV, and social media platforms to share his personal immigrant edge and American dream story to help inspire audiences worldwide to reach their fullest potential. Now, I have to apologize upfront to Bedros because I realized listening back to my interview that my Aussie accent has not done any justice to properly pronouncing his name. So I do apologize, but I hope that I'm starting to get it right now. Having followed him on YouTube for many years, it was such a thrill to have the opportunity to interview Bedros. And I know that you're going to get lots of great takeaways and plenty of inspiration from this week's show. Bedros, a very warm welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited today.
We are absolutely stoked. Now, we like to start each of our interviews tapping into ways that our guests stay focused and stay organized. So to kick things off, can you start by sharing any apps, systems, or rituals that you use on a regular basis?
Yes, one of the best rituals I use, actually my morning ritual, actually as it turns out, starts the night before. So at around 8 p.m. every evening, I open up my iPhone, I go to my notes, and I write down the 3 to 5 things that I'm going to dominate the next morning. Now, the reason I say 3 to 5 things, and I think because if you are an entrepreneur or a leader, there are only a handful of things that you need to do that others can't do. Everything else should be outsourced. And so those 3 to 5 things are things that move the needle. So for me, it might be to send out the broadcast so that I can make money, to do calls and podcasts like this, and to do my Facebook Lives. I mean, no one else can do those things. And I do those first thing in the morning. And when I'm most fresh, when I'm most organized, when the rest of the world is asleep. So I make my list the night before. I dominate it first thing in the morning between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. And by 9 a.m., I'm at the gym working out. And then by 11 o'clock, I'm here at my headquarters running our business. And this specific ritual I've been doing for over 5 years now and has allowed me to scale a business from just 6 figures to now 8 figures and growing.
Bedros, that's phenomenal. And you're the first person that I've come across that starts their morning ritual the night before, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, we actually, when we found out that you're coming on the show, we're thinking about what questions do we ask Bedros Keuilian? And I actually decided that the best way that you can help the listeners of the show is to talk about the things that are most important to them. So we went about and reached out and gave them the opportunity to actually submit questions for you to answer today. How do you like the sound of that?
I love that.
Okay, so question number 1 comes from Kyle, and he works at Anytime Fitness in Minnesota. And Kyle asked, Bedros, can you share your top 3 lead generation opportunities that are outside using funnel pages?
Absolutely. The top 3 things that any fitness entrepreneur can do is, number 1, create a condition of referrals with your brand new clients. In other words, when you get a brand new client on board, and let's say, Chantel, that you're a client, I would say, well, welcome aboard. As I help you achieve your fitness and fat loss goals, can I count on you to help me achieve my goals of impacting our community with by helping 5,000 people in the next 5 years? And you might say, well, yes, of course. Now what I've done is I've actually created a condition. So the number 1 problem I see that personal trainers have is they don't get enough referrals. Ironically, referrals are the number 1 source of new leads because they come pre-qualified, pre-screened, and more likely to buy because their friends already work out with you. But the reason you don't get referrals is because you don't condition your clients when they first come on board using that strategy I showed you. So once you can create that condition, then a month later I can come back to you and say, hey, look at your fitness eval. Looks like you have lost 6 inches across your body in total. You've dropped your body fat percentage by 3%. I'm really proud of you. You're making great progress. So as I'm helping you, can I now count on you to tell a friend or 2 about me and my business here? So that's strategy number 1, is to set conditions for referrals right off the get-go. Strategy number 2 requires no funnel whatsoever. And that strategy is using Facebook and Instagram and YouTube Live to do live casts. See, I always ask people, if I can get your fitness business on the local morning news show, would you get excited about that? They go, oh, absolutely. And I say, why would you get excited for that? Well, because I would have exposure and I would be on TV and the people in the community would see me. Okay, great. Well, what if I can actually get the most targeted people in your community, the people who count and are most likely to become clients, to see you live just like that without ever going on the morning news show? They go, tell me more. Well, effectively, you're going to do a Facebook Live or some kind of a live show on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. Now, for me, it's very simple. I'll just get 3 iPods and attach them to these little suction cup thingies that hold the iPods on glass, and you're now broadcasting on 3 different networks effectively at the same time. What's great about a fitness professional is you can do how-to videos on how to flatten your abs, how to eat when you're traveling, how to meal prep. There are so many how-to things we can do with exercise, nutrition, mindset, habits, that there's never a topic that we're going to repeat more than twice. And so the more you can position yourself through how-to live cast videos, the more you position yourself as the expert and authority. And at the end of the day, if there's 5 different personal training gyms and studios that people are going to consider, they're always going to look at the person who's the authority as the number one business to consider. So why not position yourself as the person of authority by really putting yourself out there on live shows once a week? And that's a big thing. And the third and final thing here is follow-up. Not enough people in our industry do follow-up, which is why I created the monster follow-up process, which is very simple. Anytime you get a lead from a funnel or from a Facebook message or from an email broadcast or from an ad that you're running elsewhere, heck, anytime you get a lead from a client who wants to give you a referral, odds are that person's not going to come in right away enthusiastically and wanting to sign up. It's about 10, 20% do. The other 80, 90% you have to follow up. So I created the monster follow-up process, which I teach for free, which is this. For the next 4 days, the moment you get a lead, for 4 days straight, twice a day, you reach out to them via text, email, phone call, and Facebook private message until they schedule their free workout or their low barrier offer workout and come in. And if you can do monster follow-up because you follow up like a monster, and if you can position yourself as the authority using Facebook Lives and make it a condition of doing business with you to get referrals, you will have a business that's bulletproof, competition-proof, and not reliant on clunky funnels that are hit and miss.
2 quick things. Bedros just mentioned his monster follow-up process. For those of you who want more detailed information about that, I've included a link in the show notes of a 30-minute video where he explains the process in depth. Also, I'm going to give you an early preview on this one. For those of you who are interested in starting a Facebook Live broadcast or any live video for that matter, then you're in luck because next week's guest is JT from Active Management, and he's coming in specifically to share tips on live video streaming. We talk about strategy, about planning the flow of your broadcast, and repurposing the content. So the timing of that topic worked out pretty perfectly. Let's get back to the interview now, where Bedros talks about consistency in your live video broadcasts. Here's what he had to say.
Well, consistency is probably the second most important thing you can do. Let's face it, we all watch TV. We have our favorite sitcoms and TV shows, and we are conditioned since we were children that, Bugs Bunny comes on TV on Saturday mornings at this time. So consistency is key. And in fact, the FBI recently put out a study that showed that as an FBI agent, when they go in the areas of town where the bad guys are and they show up over and over again, through consistency, soon the bad guys let their guard down just enough to commit a crime in front of the FBI, knowing that those guys were FBI agents, by the way. And so that's how valuable consistency is. When you have consistency, you are front of mind. You are reminded all over every week that this person is the authority. If we are inconsistent, then people just hear of you, then forget about you. Then the next time you come online, they hear of you again. And by the way, when you're inconsistent, something else happens. You're not delivering the content as you should. What I mean by this is, if I can do one a week for a year, that's 52 live casts. That's a lot of training under my belt. If I decide to do one every other week, now my training has been cut in half. And I don't know about you, but it's all about sets and reps for me.
Another quick breakaway from the interview. A little earlier, you will have heard Bedros mention Facebook Messenger. And part 2 of the question from Kyle was, how do we use Facebook Messenger to generate leads?
Well, that's a really good question. And most fitness professionals will actually reach out to someone. Now, if someone has, let's say, filled out a lead ad form on Facebook, or they've reached out to you on a opt-in where you have their email address but no phone number, you just have their name and email address. Well, I don't know if trainers know this, but you can actually take their email address, put it in the search box on Facebook, and if they have used that email address on Facebook, you'll find their profile, you friend request them, and then you send them a private message so that it ends up in their main inbox. And you don't do it through your company fan page. You do it from your personal fan page because people want to do business with people and not businesses. And so oftentimes, if you look at Facebook Messenger or even Instagram direct message as like texting, it's a safe way to create dialogue, build rapport. And your job isn't to make them an offer. Your job is to get that prospect to ask, how much are you? And so if you can deliver enough value, hey, watch this video, click this link, read this article I wrote. What are your fitness goals? When was the last time you achieved your fitness goals? There's so many fun, inquisitive questions you can ask that get them to go, wow, this person cares about me. And sooner or later, they're going to say, you know what? How much do you charge? And now you've gotten them to ask you versus going, well, hey, if you haven't tried us out, come and try us out. People go right into sales and pitch mode. And that comes off as so desperate that the reptilian mind says, these people are desperate, red flag, close message, go away.
So absolutely essential that we build that relationship and build that rapport with our prospects. Now, Bedros, Mark from F45 in Sydney asked this question. Can you truly automate a business that is built traditionally on service and relationships, or is it still the one-on-one moments where great things happen?
The fact of the matter is, yes, you can automate a business, even a fitness business. I mean, you don't see Richard Branson flying your airplane when you go on any one of his Virgin Atlantic flights. And, I fly a lot and I fly first class every time. And I got to tell you, there's no better first class experience than Virgin Atlantic. And yet, Richard Branson's not flying it. I've driven Teslas before. Elon Musk made a hell of a electric vehicle with a Tesla. You certainly don't see him as the mechanic or the sales guy. He's created a buying experience with the Tesla. And in the fitness industry, now bring it home to our world, we've got Fit Body Bootcamp owners like Matt Wilbur, Stephanie Flynn, Sonia Gonzalez that have multiple locations. What they have done is they have chosen to become great leaders, and great leaders produce other great leaders. And so each of their locations have an amazing, exceptional leader who not only is the face of that business, that boot camp, but they also run the business not by chance or hope or by the seat of their pants, but they run their business according to the systems. We have systems manuals. You run the systems run the business. And if you can breed good leaders, effective leaders, and you can create systems, you can forever automate and replicate your locations and be massively successful.
Bedros, in your experience, if someone has started off, maybe they're the first 12 months, the first 18 months of their business, and they haven't necessarily got those systems up and running, what advice would you give to them to position themselves so that they can be better set up for the future from a systems perspective?
Yeah, well, the odds are if someone's been doing this for 12 or 18 months and they're still kind of haphazardly running their business and they're not reaching their fullest potential of service and impact, it's usually because they are doing work that they can pay somebody $20 an hour or less to do. In other words, if you're a fitness business owner, you shouldn't be working in the business, chasing down Mrs. Jones's credit cards. You should have an administrative admin who calls every client when their credit card is declined and says, we need new payment information. That shouldn't be you. You shouldn't be the one running the workouts. You might be the one programming the daily workouts, but you should have coaches and trainers who can run workouts better than you. Your job is the vision and to lead. And so you really need to start thinking about, if I have no systems and I'm 16 months into running a business, odds are it's because you're doing work that is outside of your zone of genius. So the solution to that is, one, create what I call the alien abduction manual. In other words, if an alien abducted me today, then there's enough knowledge here where someone else who has leadership skills can run our Fit Body Bootcamp headquarters without ever missing a beat. That's because I have a system for being the CEO. My two vice presidents have a system for the vice president of operation, the vice president of new business. Every department lead, whether it's in sales, operations, graphic design, video, you name it, they have a system. And so anybody can be abducted, yet the machine keeps rolling. And so more often than not, the person is likely lazy and they just haven't taken the time to document the process to scale their business.
Another listener question. John from Anytime Fitness in Cincinnati asked, in your experience, what's the number one trait that successful business owners all share?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, that's easy enough as well. Leadership is always the problem, and leadership is always the solution. So leadership, though, is kind of a vague, obscure term. So let me break down leadership into three very specific things. An effective leader knows how to build a team and knows how to win. So to build a team and to win, you must be decisive. In other words, if you have to make a decision, make it quick. If it's the wrong decision, you'll course correct and make the right decision. If it was the right decision, then you charge ahead. So effective leaders are decisive. They make fast decisions and they course correct when they need to. Effective leaders communicate their vision clearly and repetitively over and over again, because your team, your clients, your customers will forget what your vision was. And if they forget the vision, they forget the mission. So you got to communicate your vision repetitively over and over again. And effective leaders respond and don't react. What I mean by that is, as an entrepreneur, especially someone that owns, John there who owns Anytime Fitness, I imagine like all fitness business owners, you have your share of marketing problems, sales problems, staffing problems. Now you could either fly off the handle and react and overreact and freak out, which is a sign of poor leadership, or you can take a breath, sleep on it, and respond effectively and solve the problem without looking like a fool. And if you can do those three things, you are an effective leader, and that will lead any business to success.
That's actually a perfect segue to our next question, which is, how do we go about creating a team of all-stars?
Good question. So recently I wrote a book called Man Up, and the book comes out July of 2018. But in the book, and since it's so fresh, the third section of the book, so it's about leadership, vision, and team. And I really talk about, you don't want to just hire employees. If you hire employees, an employee, I define it this way. They show up a little bit late, they leave a little bit early, they do the bare minimum, they clock in, clock out, and that's it. You have to hire team members, and you have to breed them into team members. So in other words, no crop dusters, but fighter jets. And a team member is someone who plays well as a group and plays to win. That's what a team does. They play to win. And so they will show up early, leave late, and they will exceed expectations because they play to win. And so if you're going to look and breed and hire strong team members, or the best thing you can do to hire team members is to look for personality. Because if someone's got personal training background, that's fantastic. I don't look for experience. You've got 20 years as a trainer, that's fantastic. You might have 20 years of bad habits that I have to break in you. I'd rather look for someone that understands the physiology, is certified, might be young, but they have the enthusiastic personality, and I could see the fire in their belly and the fire in their eyes. If they've got the personality, I can teach them to take a trainer from a good trainer to a great coach. And that's what a great fitness business is looking for.
Bedros, I've got one last question to finish off on today. And I mentioned earlier when I shared your bio with everyone that you have faced many challenges throughout your career. And I was actually reading that, early on you didn't understand English and your family went through a stage where you struggled to have enough money to even eat. So I was hoping you can leave us today with what we call our Fitbispiration. And that is 3 tips for our listeners to overcome obstacles and challenges that may arise during their career. Before we hear those last 3 tips, here's a quick message from our podcast partner, ABC Financial. ABC Financial leads the health and fitness industry in software and payment processing solutions. If you want your business to thrive with the most advanced club management software, comprehensive payment processing, and customer service that is second to none, choose ABC Financial. Request a demo at www.abcfinancial.com.
Sure. Having come from a communist country, we escaped a communist country, came to the United States. And like you said, I didn't speak English. I didn't understand this culture. We were broke and poor. Poor is a mindset, by the way. Broke is just not having money. Donald Trump went broke and then he recovered again. People that are poor have a mindset of scarcity and fear and doubt and uncertainty. So thing number 1, and that's a great segue into these 3 things, is you've got to start developing a mindset where you're no longer operating in a state of being poor. I know people who have businesses that generate multiple 7 figures. They still operate like they're poor. They're operating out of a place of fear, scarcity, doubt, uncertainty. So how do you fix that? You start operating out of a place of generosity and abundance. And it's the old fake it till you make it. And Tony Robbins talks about this all the time. You don't feel like smiling because you're depressed? Well, just start smiling and fake laugh, and you'll over time change your state. And that fake smile and fake laugh becomes a real laugh. So we need to break out of that poor mentality and, embrace this mentality of abundance, freedom, happiness, etc., generosity. Number 2, as an entrepreneur, you're always going to deal with adversity. When you have adversity in front of you, look at it as an advantage from now on. I want everybody listening to this to reframe it. Every challenge, obstacle, problem that you get, is an advantage. What I mean by that is, think about it. We go to the gym, we work out with weights, and the more we work out, the bigger, stronger our muscles get, and we keep lifting more weights. We develop our body by putting our muscles through adversity, by putting our cardiovascular system through adversity. Well, your mental, emotional, and entrepreneurial muscles develop through adversity as well. So welcome the suck factor when things go wrong. Know that it's not the time to react, but it's the time to respond. And when you overcome it, you have now become a better, stronger, more capable entrepreneur. And the third and final thing is that there's always, and I know I've beat this leadership horse to death, but there's always room to become a better leader. And so for some reason, I see this is notorious in our industry. Trainers like to tell others what to do to live their, you should sleep early. You should wake up at the same time every day. You should pack your meals. You should get consistent workouts. Don't surround yourself with negative people, yet they do everything the opposite. So maybe as fitness professionals, we ought to consider taking a dose of our own medicine and focusing more on self-development, personal development, so that we can practice what we preach. And if we can do those three things, we can overcome all challenges and obstacles and really have careers and passions that aren't necessarily driven by stress and overwhelm.
This has been such an incredibly valuable 25 minutes that we've just spent together. So I want to say thank you so much, Bedros. And this, listeners, is just a taste of Bedros Keuilian. And I've got to say, before I even started the podcast, I was a personal trainer many, many years ago, and I would always watch your videos and subscribe to your newsletter. And you have consistently been creating the most valuable, rich content for fitness professionals all across the world for many, many years now. So I encourage everyone to jump onto your YouTube channel, which I'll put a link in the show notes. Check out the videos that you produce because they are phenomenal. But also tell everyone about your new podcast that it's out, the Empire Podcast Show. Yes. So I'm fortunate enough to have a great friend named Craig Ballantyne. I'm sure you probably know of him. He was a client years ago. Today we're business partners and dear friends. And since he has scaled his early to rise business and his perfect day formula business, and I've scaled Fit Body Bootcamp and my coaching business to 8 figures, we decided that we are now in a place where we can teach others who are in the industries of helping, of service, of really impacting the world, how to take their idea and their business and make it a empire. So in other words, if you're making a $500,000, how do you make $5 million a year? If you're making $5 million, how do you make $20 million a year? And the Empire podcast is designed to teach entrepreneurs to become their biggest and best selves. If listeners want to get in touch with you, if they want to know more about the services that you provide, the books that you've got, they want to check out the video, I know that you've got a couple of different websites. So where should they go to find out information and to chat to you further? Sure. So if they're fitness professionals, they'll end up going to ptpower.com, which is just PT, like personal trainer, ptpower.com. Or they can just reach out to me on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter using the handle Bedros Keuilian. A massive thank you to Bedros for coming on the show this week and for answering our listener questions. If you want to check out his websites, YouTube channel, podcast, or any of those social media accounts that we just spoke about, then hop over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com and you will find links to everything right there.
PRECOR Quickfire 5.
This week's special guest for the PRECOR Quickfire 5 is a regular on the show. It is with great pleasure that I say a warm welcome back to JT from Active Management. Hey, JT.
Hi, Chantel. Hi, FBP family.
You're here today for the PRECOR Quickfire 5. Are you ready for your questions?
No, I'm here because the person that was supposed to be here has pulled out and I've come off the bench.
You can always expect extreme honesty when you're in the room, right? It's true.
Sorry, I'm here for the PRECOR Quickfire 5.
It's true. JT's helping me out of a difficult situation and he has jumped in to save the day, but I'm really excited. So just hang out to hear what he's going to be talking to us about next week. So here we go. Let's rip in. Tell everyone, why do you do what you do?
To reduce the healthcare costs across the globe by getting people moving and moving more often.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
When you are first to market, there will always be copycats, but they can never catch what you've already achieved.
What's a personal habit that helps you become better at what you do?
I have a personal trainer.
You have a personal trainer?
Yep.
What's their name?
His name is Darren, and that's all I'm saying, but I don't like him.
I have a feeling he might have been on the show at some stage.
He may well have been.
What's one book, podcast, or blog you would recommend and why?
I am addicted to Social Media Marketing Podcast with Michael Stelzner.
Oh my goodness, so am I. Okay, most importantly, JT, why should our FBP family come back next week and listen to the main interview?
Because I'm going to give the FBP family the formula for a perfect live streaming video that will build their authority in their community, or, as Mark Schaefer says in show 114, being known.
Well, I cannot wait for next week's show because, as you know, I've just started doing Facebook Lives for the Fitness Business Podcast, so I'm looking forward to picking up a few tips next week.
I'll be sharing plenty of tips.
Well, thank you for joining us for the PRECOR Quickfire 5, JT.
Pleasure.
Thank you to all of you for including the Fitness Business Podcast as part of your weekly professional development. I would love you to share the show with your team. Just send them over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. And don't forget, all the resources, links, and the transcripts for today's show can also be found at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Thanks to all of our partners for their support, and a big thank you to our foundation partner, Active Management. If you head over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/active, there's a free business development ebook waiting there for you. That is everything for another week of the show. I will see you next week, and remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.